Welcome to the Bluegrass podcast and our first review of a flower. You may be wondering how we can review a bud without video. Well, we'll get into that with our first session with Small Regenerative Farm, Sunnabis Farms' GG4 from Humboldt County. A classic, but you might get something different than what you were expecting with this version. Thank you for stopping by, and let's spark it up.
She said, now I'm a red-headed galactic installation portal revolving around the sun. I know I'm here and that I'm meant to love everyone.
To begin with, we're opening up a plastic bag sealed tight at the top. For our appearance and tactile sensations, we're going to get very sticky, starting to dry out, but I blame the bag. As we break open the bud, we're getting a definite freshness on the tactile feel. When we press the outside, we're getting a slight crunch, but still a good resistance without it being too brittle or breaking off. And it's sticky enough that it's coming off on our fingers, so we're happy to see that. For me, I do enjoy a sticky bud. I like that the resin is fresh, and I like that you can still feel the integrity of the bud. It's not a year old. It's not, I want to feel it on my fingertips, and honestly, the very best is when you get done breaking it up and then it's too sticky to even roll the paper, so we'll wash off our hands real quick and continue on. I'll also say that the buds themselves are loose enough to where it looks like they've had proper time to develop and aren't super tight. For the aroma, it's definitely a complex example of Gorilla Glue. Not a straightforward fuel like you would expect with the classic. Pine turpentine sets off the first fuel reaction, and then vetiver spice and a richness deepens the effect and finishes with this nice floral sweetness that replaces the vetiver, the more spicy tone, and is accentuated by the pine fuel base. Shout out to Jam and Burner on Instagram for pointing out the specific vetiver note on that. That name was on the spot for what we were smelling. So overall, pine fuel, vetiver spice, and a nice floral sweetness underneath that for the aroma. Now that we've rolled up and lit it up, for the flavor, the aroma, and the body of the smoke itself, we're going to say light turpentine smoke taste. Spicy nose along with the pine and the smoke, but smooth. Pine sol, vetiver, hints of black pepper and cedar. Not an exceptionally thick smoke, but pretty flavorful and complex at the same time. The flavor comes to you, as it were, but you don't have to really search for it a ton. The floral notes are probably the most hard to distinguish, but they really help separate this flower from the rest of the pack, I think. It's got this floral component, so it's got this unique sort of eucalyptus, mint, honeycomb with a pop of cayenne pepper at the end that really spices it up, especially when you're exhaling through the nose and the mouth. The smoke is also cool on the throat on the intake and didn't provoke a significant amount of coughing, even getting deeper into the joint. So overall on the smoke, we're going to say a heavy turpentine pine scent, as well as a flavor, with a nice floral spiciness in the nose especially. On the experience, we've got a nice creative high, but more like a brainstorming session with good creative collaborators, not so much a solo project, and definitely not for blasting through a project if you need to get it done for the night after. Relaxed in the body with a pleasant numbness, aware of joints especially, nice body buzz and feedback from the nerves. Overall, nice physical relaxation without too strong of a couch lock effect that puts you down or deadens the limbs. More like awareness of the body and numbness. Relaxing to a certain degree in the muscles, but again, more intensely being able to feel things at the end of your nerves. Not so much like a sedative or something like that. Very good possibly for a good post-workout smoke at the end of the day, or if you've gotten done with a lot of physical labor and want something that'll sort of take it away but not put you to sleep. And our last impressions. It's a unique example of GG4 if you're looking for a classic with a twist. What you can look for it is definitely not your typical GG number 4, but if you're looking for something to spice it up on your usual buy, if you really like GG4, or a heavy fuel that you'll feel a little bit more in your body, but won't really relax you too much in terms of mental capacity, you might want to think about giving it a try. Definitely will make you want to take a second hit, and the flavor profile is definitely the most unique part of this flower. If you'd like to pick some up, you can find dispensaries at Sunnabis.com. She's working to help organize regenerative agriculture conferences. They have dates starting this week in Humboldt, but if you'd like to catch a future one, I know they're going to be visiting a variety of places. So if you'd like to learn more about that too and how she grew this bud, you can find that on the website as well. And I believe they're going to have quite a few special guests. And thank you for listening to this first review we've done of the GG number 4. We're going to keep trying to improve these reviews. And if you're wondering how we come to our conclusions on these reviews, well, that's going to be part 2 of this episode right now. Firstly, we do 3 reviews, then we average out those scores, making sure that we have more even and consistent scoring for what we smoke and what we're going to be smoking. While one session may be good to give you a one-off on the experience and the flavor, that can be distorted, like I said, because it could be a one-off experience, or just simply you got an exceptionally good or bad bud and you don't want to judge it based off of one. For the technical quality of it, we're using the Ganjier SAP app and the SAP protocol around appearance, aroma of the raw flower or hash itself, quality of the smoke, like body or smoothness, and of course, the experience that we're going to have with the flower and hash mentally as well as physically, and the after effects. We also try to look for sun-grown and, if possible, regeneratively grown cannabis as much as possible. So far, in terms of the reviews that we've done, they're moving to the top of our profiles, so we're going to keep looking for those and giving you reviews on that. Although we might toss in some mixed light and some indoor in the future. We not only want to look for the highest quality cannabis, but we want to look for cannabis grown in the most responsible way possible. And it just so happens that those two things seem to coincide an awful lot. Now, we also try to look at what makes the bud unique or different or excellent. Oftentimes, the overall score that we give may be relatively low, but if there's an exceptional flavor and experience, a flower can still be an incredible smoke in a variety of ways and still deserves attention. While we might say that, for example, the freshness of the aroma of the flower isn't as powerful as some others, the flavor that comes out in the smoke and the experience you're going to get out of that flower may be leaps and bounds ahead of something else that is incredibly good smelling, but in terms of the smoke experience really declines significantly. So a little bit of explanation about that. We also leave the data online, but still publish for this reason. We want you to check out the testing levels, but testing levels we find can also bias people against a bud before they've tried it or before a concentrate. For example, a lot of people are very focused in the market on THC levels, and anecdotally, I can say that I've had 15% flower that's tested at that would beat anything that I've had at 30%. So we really want to give you our impressions of the quality of the flower. And then if you would like to see how those test results match up with what we're experiencing, then you can go and look at that. Really, we want to look at the quality of the bud and then see how that translates into the test results, rather than looking at the test results and trying to make that the basis of what we determine to be quality. If you do want to see pictures of the buds we're talking about, though, or look at the full data, it's super easy. You can go to Twitter at Bluegrass Canna, Instagram at Bluegrass_Cannabis, or TikTok at Bluegrass Cannabis. We're going to be posting the pictures on there along with abbreviated reviews, day of all of these reviews. And then you'll also be able to go to the website, www.bluegrasscannabis.com, where there'll be a full written review if you want to scroll through and see it that way. I'll also say this as a side note for myself. You might think you need a visual more than you do, But honestly, oftentimes I've found that people's eyes betray them when it comes to cannabis. When we can definitely get some ideas about the processing and the care, but the smell of the bud, the feel of the smoke, and the experience that we receive of it are the most important aspects for us on these reviews for the Bluegrass podcast. We really want to look at people's experience with the cannabis rather than this cannabis has exceptional bag appeal. We're not so much as interested in that. Like we said, though, all the pictures are available online on our website, www.bluegrasscannabis.com, and we're going to be posting it on social media every time we pop one of these out. Also, if you'd like to shout us out and give recommendations for some great flower that you've had recently, we would love to know to give us some ideas for the future. We always love suggestions and we always love trying incredible new buds. So please, through any of the social media accounts or through the website, let us know. Let us know your favorite small farmer that you want to support and hear us do a review. And finally, thank you for listening to this review of GG number 4. This is our first review, like I said, officially on the podcast. And we hope you've had a relaxing, revitalizing, flavorful experience today and enjoyed smoking along with us.